Pokemon! It's a video game about collecting monsters that can fit in little capsules to be put on your pocket. You can trade them with other players, battle with them, or take care of them however you see fit. From its conception back in 1996 up until today, it has been a worldwide phenomenon. See what I did there? Ha! Religion! But in all seriousness, wouldn't something like Pokemon have some sort of influence or reference to religion? But of course they would. Why would you ask that? Let's start with the simple references to religion. Shintoism is an ancient religion of Japan dating 1000 BCE and is still being practiced today. They believe that spiritual powers exist in the natural world and are manifested in spirits called kami. In Pokemon, the kami is referenced as the beings known as legendary Pokemon such as Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres, to name a few. Each represent an element that can be denoted by their names. Articuno, the Arctic bird Pokemon that controls ice. Zapdos, the electric bird Pokemon that controls electricity. Moltres, the fire bird Pokemon that controls the flames. Each are revered as legendary Pokemon, being above the levels of most other Pokemon available. There are also legendary Pokemon that portray the creation of the world. Groudon, the earth Pokemon, created the land in which the people and Pokemon walk together. Kyogre, the sea Pokemon, created the oceans and waters in which water-type Pokemon can live and the beings can drink. Rayquaza, the sky Pokemon, maintains the air in which all inhabitants live and keeps both the land and sea in check so that neither would rise above the other. There are definitely more legendary Pokemon to speak of, but for now, we shall skip to arguably the most important legendary Pokemon. And no, I'm not talking about Mew. Or Mewtwo. If you may recall from a previous lesson, the difference between magic and religion is that in religion, there is a belief that someone is pulling the strings. There must be one force that controls all. In Pokemon, there is said to be a Pokemon that transcends all other legendaries. This Pokemon was the first to exist, and was said to have created all other Pokemon. This Pokemon is none other than Arceus. And yes, I checked the official pronunciation. It is in fact Arceus. Arceus seems to have similarities to God in that they created the universe as it began. In fact, much of the entries given to Arceus allude to the fact that it was born before the universe even existed, and that it shaped the universe with its 1000 arms. It seems that Arceus is the god of their world, similar to the god of ours. It's also quite interesting to note the naming convention of this Pokemon, Arceus. Specifically the part where it says Ark. Now according to the Bible, the Ark is known as a vessel, or a type of sanctuary that is used for protection. The Ark from Arceus may be alluding to something as a protective vessel or sanctuary similar to Noah's Ark or the Ark of the Covenant. It could be said that just like God, Arceus is set out to protect the Pokemon and people of the world. Speaking of creation, there must have been some sort of destruction in their world. In Pokemon X and Y, there is a myth where a war had broke out thousands of years before the setting of their current world. One man, AZ, sought out to end this war and had built a machine to quickly end it as his Pokemon friend was killed in action. He succeeded, and in his rage against the war, he killed hundreds of thousands of lives in one blast. This story sounds a bit familiar. That's right, it's similar to the story of Noah's Ark. Of course, the difference between the two stories is that God had destroyed the world initially to rid the world of corruption, and leave the world to Noah and his family to make it right. AZ did this in disgust of the war as his Pokemon friend was killed. Also, God used water and AZ used an energy blast of some sort. Also, he managed to revive his friend and gain the ability to live forever, but that's somewhat irrelevant here. The point is, they're very similar in that they both had some form of destruction for very similar reasons. God wanted to cleanse the world of corruption, as AZ wanted to cleanse the world of war and destruction. Although different, they're very similar in what they sought out to do. Even in a world like theirs, it wouldn't be without some form of conflict or someone creating conflict. In every iteration of Pokemon, there exists a certain team based on the region the games reside, or the version of the game one is playing. They're said to be an evil organization bent on taking over the world. With people like that, it would make sense to note such an organization as a cult, as they follow a single charismatic leader. In the original games of Pokemon Red and Blue, one of the organizations tries to recruit you to their team. Upon refusal, you are forced into battle against one of the cult members. As it is in the real world, there are temptations against evil. Although what they as a cult believe is right, their extremist measures are hardly any good. This is further emphasized in the Pokemon games Black and White, as the organization here is Team Galactic. Their vision is to free the Pokemon as the superior beings, not to be some types of slaves to the people. The cult members are to believe this is true, but their leaders had other plans. They had planned to use the power of Pokemon against the people instead of freeing them, as they had proclaimed. We understand that not all cults have malintent, but their actions can go to the extreme just as it is in our world. As you can see, Pokemon is very much influenced by religions of many kinds. But what about our world? How has this game influenced us as players? On February 12th, 2014, a live stream by the name of Twitch Plays Pokemon came into this world. It was basically a video feed of a Pokemon game, where viewers can input a button press on a controller from a chat box, live. Think 10,000 players trying to play Pokemon on the same Game Boy together, and you'll understand how interesting and ridiculous of an idea it would be. In their journey to complete the game, every player had become so invested in the game that it became real to them. They actually created a religion based off of this game. They had proclaimed a certain item to become their god, and they would consult to it for advice. Why they would, I still have no idea. This item was known as the Helix Fossil. In the game, the fossil has no immediate use until much later in the game. Until then, using it has actually no use. But the 10,000 players were already worshipping this item as a religious figure, like it has something to do with what they're doing. Soon they had caught a certain bird Pokemon that has saved them many times over, and thus named it as the Messiah. Namely because this bird Pokemon saved them so many times, like they believe Jesus would save them. It's fairly similar, just in the form of Pokemon. Another Pokemon they had obtained had failed to hold up to their expectations, ruining most of the experience. So, they proclaimed it to be the false prophet. Pokemon has come a long way from being influenced by religion to having their players create their own based on the game. It's no wonder this game has become the worldwide phenomenon that it is. And that about wraps things up. Let's recap what we talked about. Pokemon alludes to religions including Shintoism and Christianity. Pokemon is not without conflict and has dealt with cults attempting to take over the world. Pokemon is not only influenced by religion, but also influences the players in their own religion based on their game. Pokemon has taken the world by storm and has only gotten better since then. It takes a player through a journey that can invoke religious experiences all on its own. This doesn't even scratch the surface in terms of religion or mythology. There is much more to Pokemon than simply the points stated here. However, if we were to get into that, we'd be here all day, and I'd have to explain every single detail thoroughly, so let's leave it at this, shall we? I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I hope to see you again soon.